Hello everyone, my name is Andrei Dima, I'm a professional travel photographer and video maker, and today I'm going to review the Meike 50mm F1.8 full frame lens on the Nikon ZF. I've tested a lot of budget lenses over the years and I was impressed by some of them when it comes to image quality, but most budget lenses don't have the best image quality wide open. You need to stop them down to f2.8 or even f4. Is this the case with the Meike 50mm F1.8, or is it the first budget lens to break that rule? Let's find out. But first, let's talk about the build quality. For a budget lens, it is a very well built lens. It is made from plastic, but good quality plastic. The lens hood is nice, the mount is metal and has a rubber gasket, but the lens is not weather sealed. But the rubber gasket is a nice addition for a budget lens. This lens costs only $159, so it may take the nifty-50 price if the image quality is good. You have an AF/MF switch on the side and the focus ring is rubberized and turns very smoothly, and it is nice to use. I like the fact that Meike made the logo and writing on the lens grey. It is more subtle and helps with the design of the lens. The filter thread is 58mm, the lens cap is nice. Oh, almost forgot that you have an USB Type-C port on the metal mount for future updates. The lens weighs 382 grams, less than Nikon 50mm F1.8s, and it is a bit big compared to other Nikon primes, but this may have to do with its optic design, which is 11 elements in 7 groups. I know it is a long lens, but as you will see later, it is hard to beat this lens in this price range at image quality. First, let's talk about autofocus. So, I tested this lens on the Nikon ZF, so I don't know how the autofocus is on older cameras, and as I said earlier, this lens can be updated via the USB Type-C port. The autofocus for photography was good in all types of conditions, high contrast and at night. I only missed 4 or 5 shots when I used autofocus continuous. Otherwise, the lens performed very well. The autofocus is not the fastest, but it is decent and accurate in my opinion. The problem I had with it is in video. I think when it comes to video, the autofocus needs an update. Also, the focus bleeding on this lens is pretty noticeable, so this may be a good option for photography and maybe wait a while if you want it for video for a firmware update. What this lens does great for video and photo is flare control, or almost none at all. This is quite an impressive feature for a lens in this price range. Usually budget lenses have some problems with flares. Some flares look good, some bad. This lens impressed me in this regard. Another great thing about this lens is how it handles chromatic aberrations. It is hard to take a photo and see chromatic aberrations with this lens at f1.8. It happens, but in certain high contrast conditions, and they are very easy to correct in post. Some people just might not see them. If you stop down to f2.8 or more, they are nowhere to be seen. So, a very good performance here from the Meike 50mm F1.8. Now, let's talk about longitudinal chromatic aberrations. You can see some at f1.8, but if you stop down to f2.8, they go away. Now, let's talk about sharpness and contrast, and then about the minimum focus distance. This lens is sharp from f1.8. In the center of the frame you can see plenty of details and contrast. The corners are a bit soft, but far corners, and the result is not bad. This lens is a lot sharper than I expected at f1.8. If you stop down to f2.8, the image improves a bit in the center. You get more contrast and the corners look great as well. And from f4 we see more contrast in the corners. No need to stop this lens down more for sharpness and contrast because it is very good from f1.8. Now let's talk about another downside, and that is the minimum focus distance, which is 60 centimeters. Not the best for a lens like this, but I understand the trade-off for the great image quality, starting from f1.8. At f1.8 and minimum focus distance, the lens is a bit soft, stopped down to f2.8 for excellent performance. The bokeh looks nice in my opinion, and the in-focus to out-of-focus transition looks nice and smooth. I am introducing a new feature in my reviews, and that is handling. I tested this lens for a couple of weeks and I found that being a long lens helped me with the fact that there is no grip on the Nikon ZF, making the experience of taking photos with two hands quite nice. Also, the lens doesn't seem that heavy. Overall, this lens is a no-brainer in my opinion for photographers looking for a sharp budget 50mm f1.8 lens. Meike did a great job with the image quality of this lens, and I hope they will update the autofocus for video with a firmware update. So if you're looking for a nifty-fifty, I highly recommend this lens. If this video was helpful, please subscribe, like, ring the bell to get notified, and if you want to support the channel even more, use the links in the description at no extra cost to you. See you next time.